In an era where our needs are easily met, we face a new challenge: addiction. It's not just substance abuse. Everyday things can become addictive, depending on our personalities. And so today, we'll dive into 5 key addictive personality traits and how to tackle them. Trait number 1, impulsivity. Impulsive people tend to act immediately on their urges and desires without thinking about the consequences. In other words, they only consider the short-term outcomes while disregarding the long-term outcomes of their behavior. Impulsivity is not necessarily a bad thing. Impulsive people tend to be spontaneous, easygoing, and fun. However, they are also more likely to engage in immediate gratification, and they may find it hard to tend to their responsibilities and have problems with procrastination. If this resonates with you, self-awareness is the first step to addressing the problem. You can't fix any problem if you're unaware of it in the first place. The next step is to consciously think about the long-term consequences of specific behavior. One of the ways to do this is to realize that whatever pleasure you gain from a certain behavior is short-lived, while the negative effects can be serious and permanent. For example, eating ice cream while watching TV may make you feel good, but inadequate nutrition and lack of exercise will lead to weight gain and potential health problems. The point is that every decision you make has consequences, even though you don't experience them right away. Trait number 2, sensation-seeking. Sensation-seeking is a character trait that's closely linked to impulsivity. Sensation seekers have a strong desire for new and exciting experiences. This often means engaging in risky behaviors, such as drug or alcohol abuse, but it can also take other forms, like shopping, video games, etc. In essence, any pleasurable behavior can be a potential source of addiction. Every human being naturally seeks pleasure and avoids pain. However, some people simply have a higher baseline for pleasurable experiences. In other words, they need more stimulus to achieve a certain amount of pleasure. People like these often dread boredom and routine and do everything they can to avoid it. This includes engaging in potentially addictive behavior like substance abuse. It's important to note that sensation seeking is not necessarily bad, and not all sensation seekers develop addiction. However, when combined with other risk factors, the likelihood of developing addictive behaviors may increase. If this sounds like you must consciously engage in healthy and non-addictive activities that satisfy your needs for novelty and excitement. Trait number 3, high levels of stress. Most addictive behaviors are a form of a coping mechanism. In other words, engaging in certain behaviors is a way to alleviate negative emotions like stress and anxiety. If you're prone to stress or have a lot of stressors in your life, it's more likely that you'll self-medicate with certain substances or use certain behaviors as a form of escapism. While these strategies may work in the short term, they can lead to even more problems down the line. This is especially the case if you rely heavily on specific behaviors to alleviate stress instead of dealing with the stress directly. This can create a vicious cycle. Something stresses you out, which leads to addictive behavior, which produces even more stress down the line. This kind of cycle is difficult to break, but it can be done. You can either find healthier coping strategies like exercising, meditating, or seeking support from friends and family, or you can deal with the stressor directly. When you voluntarily tackle your stressors, you'll often find that doing so is much easier than avoiding it altogether. Trait number 4, environmental factors. Aside from certain character traits, your environment also plays a significant role in addiction. Mere exposure to certain behaviors can make you more likely to engage in these behaviors yourself. Social influence can also be a significant factor. Humans are social creatures and unconsciously imitate people we spend time with. For example, you're more likely to drink alcohol in social settings where people around you also drink. Cultural norms are another potential contributing factor in developing addictive behavior. Despite its harmful effects, alcohol use often gets a free pass, and drinking alcohol is even celebrated and encouraged. Similarly, compulsive shopping is encouraged in a culture that favors consumerism. Some people tie their self-worth to their consumption. They see spending more as a way to increase their social status. While you can't completely tune out of your environment, it's essential to be mindful of how it shapes your behavior. Then, you can try to structure your environment in a way that's conducive to building healthy habits, and avoid places, people, and other triggers that make you more likely to engage in unwanted behavior. Trait number 5, low self-esteem. Some people may be more susceptible to social pressure, which can further feed addictive behavior. People with low self-esteem may be more vulnerable to peer pressure and the desire for social validation. They may engage in substance use or addictive behaviors to fit in with a particular social group or to gain approval from others, even if it goes against their better judgment. Low self-esteem can also lead people to believe that they're not worthy of love, success, or happiness. They may use addictive substances or behaviors as a form of self-medication to numb emotional pain or to create a false sense of self-worth. One of the ways to cope with low self-esteem is to challenge negative beliefs you have about yourself. The trick is treating yourself the way you would treat other people you care about. We're often harsher on ourselves than we are to the people in our lives. You should treat yourself with the same care and compassion you extend to the people around you. If you have addictive tendencies, the first step to overcoming them is self-awareness. You can't change your behavior without being aware of it first. Fighting addiction is a constant battle, but you don't have to go at it alone. Social support is the best way to tackle addiction, so don't hesitate to reach out to your friends, family, or a professional. If you want to learn more about the topic of addiction, I highly recommend Andrew Huberman's podcast with Anna Lemke, which will be linked in the description box below. Besides that, guys, stay tuned.